Find the cotangent of 4 pi over 3. Okay, so there's my coordinate grid. Then I need to figure out, remember that we start here at, this is 0 degrees, and then going around up to 360 degrees. This is x-axis, y-axis. So to try to find the cotangent of 4 pi over 3, and let's see, 4 pi over 3 is the same thing as 3 pi over 3 plus pi over 3. And this cancels here and here, so you have pi plus pi over 3. So this tells me the reference angle is pi over 3 and then plus pi, so half a rotation is pi, and then I'm going to go pi over 3 past that, so I'm going to say that's roughly right here. Okay, so this is roughly the whole rotation. And this is my reference angle right here, pi over 3. Okay, now I know that my sine and cosine values for this, my cosine value is going to be negative 1/2, and the sine value is going to be negative square root of 3 over 2. Okay, and if you're not at the point where you can just write those out right away, just go ahead and draw your triangle and then find your ratios from there. So the important thing is you need to figure out the lengths of the sides of this triangle with a hypotenuse of 1, and it's a right triangle. Since tangent is sine divided by cosine, I know that cotangent, being the reciprocal of tangent, is cosine divided by sine. And I already have my cosine and sine values for this reference angle. This is actually going to be pretty quick to do. So I'm going to say cotangent of 4 pi over 3 is going to equal to the cosine value that we found, which is negative 1/2, divided by the sine value that we found, which is negative square root of 3 over 2. Okay, and a little quick fraction simplification. Remember, I'm going to flip this second fraction, so do my work over here. It'll be negative 1/2 times 2 over square root of 3. That's negative. I did the reciprocal of the denominator here. So these negative signs become positive signs because you're doing negative times a negative, make it positive. And then, so multiplying straight across, you get 1 times 2, which is 2, divided by 2 times the square root of 3. And these 2's simplify out, so you get 1 over the square root of 3. And then you need to rationalize the denominator, so multiply by square root of 3 over square root of 3. That's going to give you square root of 3 over square root of 3 times square root of 3, which is 3. Alrighty, so here is the cotangent of 4 pi over 3. Okay, so let's review process. I sketched a really rough sketch of x and y axis, drew my angle after I calculated what the reference angle is and what the actual angle was. So 4 pi over 3 was pi plus pi over 3, all the way around to here. Then I used my sine and cosine ratios that I knew for the reference angle pi over 3. And like I said, if you don't have those down yet, you can just draw the triangle and then figure it out. So let's say this is 60 degrees and this is 30, and here's your right angle. And I like to do the right triangle in terms of degrees, but you can also think about it in terms of radians because pi over 3 is 60 degrees. This is really the same thing. Okay, now this is a special triangle, and the ratios go 1, radical 3, and then 2 for the hypotenuse. So to make this fit the unit circle, we need a hypotenuse of 1, so you divide by 2 here, here, here. So that's how you get the 1/2 and the square root of 3 over 2. And they became negative because it's in quadrant 3. And look where the coordinate is. You're down here. And the x is negative and the y is negative. Okay, so that's how you find the ratios. Then you need to know what the cotangent function is, and it's cosine divided by sine. And then you simply apply the ratios that you found, do the division, and then simplify it out, write in proper form by rationalizing the denominator. And that's how you get square root of 3 over 3. Now essentially all unit circle questions like this work the same way. So you can apply this process no matter what ratio you're trying to find, whether it's sine, cosine, tangent, cotangent, secant, or cosecant. It all works the same way.